What are the ways to test one's metabolic flexibility?
Metabolic flexibility is something that um, many generations prior to ours needed because food was not abundant, right? So the ability to go without food, we have much larger fat stores than we do glucose stores, right? And the ability to go without food was actually a requisite to survival for a really long time. And we have certain mutations in particular enzymes that actually predispose us to conserving glucose and being able to survive for long periods of time without eating, at the detriment of becoming sick when we overeat. So there are particular mutations that, because of our survival, we've incorporated so that we can withstand those long periods of not eating. And those turn out to be really detrimental for us today, where we have abundant food sources. So I would say that the best way to start establishing metabolic flexibility is to give your metabolism a rest. Give it periods of time where you're not eating. Intermittent fasting, I think, a 16-8 pattern or whatever you're comfortable with can be a good starting point. Some people, I also will periodically do what they call a periodic fast, which is multiple days without eating. And I think people have gone months without eating. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It's probably not a lot of fun, but you can really go fairly long without eating, unless you have some sort of a condition that requires addition, that prohibits that. So I think the starting point for metabolic flexibility is just give your metabolism a rest. It can be eating less, and we there are benefits to caloric restriction. I think a lot of people find that fairly unpalatable. It's usually easier to just start by not eating for some period of time, right? And what that does is that starts to get the body in this habit of switching from glucose to fat. And I think, so somewhere between 12 to 18 hours seems to be a sweet spot for being able to start to establish good flexibility. The way we would measure that is you can look at post-meal glucose levels via CGM. You should find that your glucose spikes reduce once you've started a fasting regimen. You should find that your baseline glucose level, your overnight glucose, is lower, probably around 90. But it can vary. I mean, there is quite a bit of individual variation, and then the glucose monitors themselves have some variability. A1C is a reasonable proxy for your glucose level and hence your metabolic flexibility. And then, yeah, you can measure ketone levels as well as what I do, which is the fasting insulin level every couple of months, just to make sure you're not trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah. No, I think this is a topic that is of interest to a lot of people. Right? What is the right amount of time to fast? Because there are enough fat stores, so you could go a long time. But on the other hand, you have to also ensure you're not losing your micronutrients, your electrolytes if you fast too long. And muscle mass is one of those things that gets impacted pretty quickly, and that's a hard thing to gain back.